Hello. Hello, everyone. I decided to get on for like an hour. I got some assignments that I need to finish. You know how you get learning block, studying block, or whatever? I started reading some stuff. I need to make me some coffee. How is everybody doing? Hey, actual treasure. How are you? What y'all cook for dinner? Did y'all cook dinner? Yeah, I made dinner for tonight and tomorrow. I did baked chicken, candied yams, and macaroni and cheese. Hey, positive vibes. And now what I need to do is make me some coffee because or some hot tea. Cracked chicken mashed. Oh, that sounds good. So how do you make the cracked chicken? Give me the recipe on that. Hey, Joy Loves God. I really need to change the topic and do a part two. Y'all know I fell asleep. Last night's show was real good. And we said we would do a part two. I don't know what the name of I don't know what the name of the show was last night though. I don't forget. I know it was a good show though. I think we talked about the interview that Quit did, and I fell asleep. I know the truth, the truth came in, and I was dozing off, so I don't remember everything. But um, I know Finesse two times did an interview tonight with I forget the name of that channel, and I really wanted to be on some deep type of stuff tonight because I didn't get the opportunity last night. Hey, little Miss Muffin, I didn't get the opportunity last night to talk about self hate in the Black community. So that's something that I was going to talk about, but we got real caught up in talking about the interview that Hernandez Govan did. Maybe I should change the thing and say part two because I got sleepy. I think I came on a little bit too late last night, and it had me. I was real tired. I'm gonna put the Hold on. Let me. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button for me. Mm, I get so sick of them dogs. Yeah, has M Rose been in here? I haven't seen M Rose, or has she? I was thinking about that today. I was like, I don't think I've seen M Rose in here. I'm gonna have to call and check on her. Um, yeah. They said part two while we are awake. I'm telling you, we need to go ahead and get into part two, right? Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do part two. Okay, because I think we basically did we basically went over the whole interview, right? We did finish the interview that Quit did with Do y'all remember if we've actually got through the whole? I think we did. I think we got through the whole interview. We just didn't get to the second part of the show, right? Where I was talking about self hate in the black community. I was looking at some video today, and I found this little channel. They have a lot of archives and the specials that they did they called it the ghetto back then, the ghetto in 1966. And I get to thinking about, I was looking at the kids and how active they were. They did some of the same shit that we did in 1966. you know um um they was talking about, how, I guess they was trying to say how black kids in the ghetto was not paying attention. You know, they was polishing their fingernails. I ain't gonna even tell no lies. We used to do the same shit. Like, depending on, we already knew which teacher was real easy going, especially if it was one of those last classes at the end of the day. We're gonna pull out some damn fingernail polish. I'm painting my fingernails. I always love to polish my fingernails. So it was some of those classes we would start sneaking it. You could smell the fingernail polish, but we're gonna polish our nails and stuff. So I got to looking at that. I was like, dog, they was doing some of the same stuff. And the kids were very active, but they didn't say anything about no they wasn't dosing them up with Ritalin or nothing like that. So, hey, Divine Black Rose. Anyways, you guys, I'm trying to think if we finished looking at the interview. I do know, I think we kind of left off where we was talking about, and I think Hitta might have touched on that today about Quet. I don't think we actually talked about Quet his issues with Moochie Grape, right? I think he has some issues with Moochie Grape, Big Moochie Grape, and Hitta says that Moochie is 31, and he probably is. But I think about Steel, like he's a great bit younger than Quet, and you get to thinking about, like, I don't think that Moochie did what happened. Him probably mistakenly hitting Quet's like button, because we do it all the time. We tend to do it a lot. We'll make a mistake and hit a like button. Um, yeah, we'll make a mistake and hit a like button. Sometimes we could just fat finger stuff. So I don't think that, the way he gotta know that as much as he goes live, especially with him, being implicated in what happened to their boss, um, they may take an interest in seeing what he's talking about. A lot of times, especially since he tends to talk about Young Dolph, right? So I'm sure it's more than him that's looking. He might have been doing something and made a mistake and hit the button. Like I said, I really don't think that with the way that the clown and pony show that he put on, I don't think that it was warranted. Quit reminds me of one of those drunk ass high ass uncles that everybody hate to see coming to the damn cookout, because when he get there he gonna aggravate all the damn kids, and the women have to cuss him out and fix his plate and send him on. Okay, because the way he was going in, it was not, you know you would think that uh Hernandez Govan would be um trying to do something positive. You got off on a crime that many believe that he actually was involved in. Okay. Why he got off, that's between that's you know, hey, that would be between him and God. But I would think, God gives chances, gives second chances, or God will see what you're gonna do. Okay, and I think what a lot of these men do when they've been doing dirt in the street, and God has probably allowed them to keep their life, or the devil or whoever. They tend to just kind of omit doing good. Like okay, I've been in situations before, I got away with it. Hey, until they don't get away with it anymore. And it's one thing to be on social media and you vlogging. It's another thing to with the way that he is um, spitting out that vitriol, and it is pure vitriol. Okay, and Quet is too damn old for that. Okay, he didn't got too, he old. Okay, he closer to a half of 100 than he ever was before. Moochie Grape ain't near that. What's up, Diane? Moochie Grape ain't nowhere near that. And so for him to be getting on here doing all that, it's so unnecessary. And one of the things that really bothered me, I've been saying, I think he needs some deliverance. When I heard him say, and it bothers me because that is the mentality that I've been talking about, that is in the atmosphere in the Memphis area, right? When he said to Moochie, I ain't got nothing to lose. You got everything to lose. And so, I think about um, that mentality in Memphis. When a person feels like it's prevalent, it's almost like it's a demonic force. Um, I ain't got nothing to lose. You got something to lose. I'm gonna make you lose it. That is the mentality of the Memphians. A lot of the Memphians at this point, and it is definitely like a demonic force that is in the atmosphere. You used to have women that were real catty. Now the men are just as bad, and it's really really sad. So, um, I think you know he needs to. I really think that I really believe that he needs to go get himself some in a church, and I'm serious. He needs to go get into a church because I can't believe him. I'm gonna have to make some coffee. Because normally chicken and macaroni and cheese, I wonder which one it was. Those candy yams, that was a good meal. And I didn't even eat a lot, but that was a good meal. It was fire too. Um, be quiet, Rams. So yeah, I think he needs to go get himself into a church so that he can get himself delivered. Yeah, so he can get some type of deliverance, because like I said, that is a demonic spirit that is in the atmosphere, and I'm sure that it resides over a lot of cities. Okay, I'm sure that it resides over a lot of cities, but for some reason in the Memphis area, it is very prevalent. And that's one of the reasons, the number one reason that you see a lot of crime around Memphis is really got a lot to do with jealousy. Just jealousy and hatefulness, jealousy and hatefulness. So that's something. But guess what, Stephen? When I make candied yams, I put cinnamon and butter. Okay, I cut them up. I put cinnamon and butter and nutmeg. So I did good because yams have a natural sweetness. The only thing that was bad was that macaroni and cheese. Okay, I gotta admit that macaroni. I forget Stephen B's in the bushes, child. I'm gonna have to make y'all know Steven is my fitness. He's supposed to be my fitness person. He don't call me in the mornings like he's supposed to. So, but yeah, it's gonna have to be some deliverance. It really is. So, um, because I mean, it seems like that hate is exuding, and it's gotta be because I don't think Quet and Moochie Grape has ever had any issues. It's got to be because of that connection to Young Dolph. It's almost like he hates anything that has a connection to Young Dolph. Like as much as he try and hide it, it's almost looking like because he seems to hate anything connected to Dolph. It's almost and it's like he wants to cut off, want them to lose everything. It, when he said, you're gonna lose your contract. Oh my God, that's so the spirit of the Memphian. I'm gonna make you lose everything. Well, ain't that just the spirit of the Memphian? Because you got people in North Carolina that try to do the same shit. You got a slave that comes right off the damn plantation and got that mentality, but he been taught that by a slave master. Okay, so I guess it's just prevalent, I'll say, in the black community. Yes, I'm talking a little shit tonight, okay? I ain't gonna let the devil use me because y'all know how I gets. Okay, y'all know how I gets. Anyways, I might need to drink me some coffee. Anyways, so okay, Quit needs to leave. Y'all know we get ready. We'll have some fun up in here. Quit needs to leave these damn kids alone. Okay, he needs to leave them alone. Okay. He's starting to look corny now. He's starting to look like an old corny man. He needs to leave these damn kids alone and just go on. Be quiet, shit. He needs to take his corny little ass on because he's starting to look like one of them old corny men. Leave these damn kids alone and go on with his life. Anyways, come on, let's drink some. Let's drink some. Okay, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna get ready to make me some coffee so that I don't be. Listen, I don't know why. Have y'all seen M Rose? I got to thinking today. I was like, I have not seen M Rose in my chat in a long time, and I'm serious. Like sometimes I'll just randomly think about, oh my God, I have not seen this person, because normally she'll reach out to me on Facebook or she'll reach out to me on and she'll be in the chat. The Black Barber says, hi Tams, did you get the message and picture on Messenger? No, let me see. I'm getting ready to look and see. I don't think I've been on Instagram all day. Y'all have to tell me. I don't get no message on Instagram. I don't have no message on Instagram. Oh, you talk about Jay-Z. Oh, Facebook Messenger. Let me see. Y'all hit the like button for me. I don't know why it takes Facebook so long to open up. No, I didn't get it, Miss. You're talking about the oh, you're talking about the Yorkie. Yes, I saw that. I saw that, and that's the same color as Roscoe. Um, I was getting ready to ask y'all, did y'all get y'all packages? But it's Sunday, so y'all probably will get them tomorrow or something. If the mail folks ain't lost the shit, I tell you. I think you're on the right channel. It's 5 people on my number 2 page because it's saying that. So can you all see Angel the real boss? Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Like Canvas Beauty, I got a lot of shampoo and shit though. That's one of my things. But I'm gonna use up the shampoo and stuff I got in there before I buy some more. But Beauty has with her shampoo, she has um a booster, and I promise you, it feels so good to the scalp. It feels really good to the scalp, and I buy a lot of like shea butter and castor oils. I think that's what it's called. Uh, I think it's called African castor oil, and I'll put in my, put on my scalp. It really thickens the hair. Cause the last time I had braids, I mean twists, they made them too little, and it pulled my hair out. Yes, it did. It pulled my hair out, and so I could feel it starting to grow back though. Yeah, it's starting to grow back a lot. And it's good to take like vitamin B complex because it helps with the hair. What's up, Cypress? Yeah, I got some video for you all that I want to share a little bit. Y'all know I be wanting to share knowledge and stuff. I be wanting to share knowledge. Um, yeah. So getting back to Quet. Quet needs to leave these children alone and find him something to do and leave these kids. Let these kids be great. And what else I was gonna say? Um, hold on, y'all. Let me see. Yeah, are they saying JoJo Splat is out there? JoJo Splat got so fat. JoJo Splat got so fat. Oh my god, but he's young. He's still a baby. So like when this stuff happened with Young Dolph, the reason he was flipping out because JoJo Splat had just turned like 18 or 19. So he might be 20 something now because it's been like what 5 years. Uh yeah, JoJo Sweat. But he ain't in jail. He's not in the jail anymore. I wonder if he's been transferred. He may have been transferred to the correction center. but because he's not in the downtown jail no more. So this is what's up, Hitter? Yeah, hit the like button. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna pull it up. Okay. When Dr. King was killed in 68, am I right? So this was 1966. Y'all don't start tuning out. We going somewhere with this. I be wanting y'all to look at this stuff with me. Okay. When we looking at stuff like this, I be wanting y'all to stay tuned in and watch it with me because I like for people to look at films with me.
While the mayor gave warm and sympathetic expressions concerning these demands, no specific commitments were made.
We mentioned the fact that steps were being taken, in our opinion, in Chicago that would really bring about an early solution of these difficult problems.
Our contention was that while things were being done, they were merely bringing about surface changes.
Well, I asked for their answer to the solution of many of these questions, and they had no solution.
Well, we will have marches, definitely.
Under the Constitution, you're entitled to petition and you're entitled to demonstrate. But after all, there comes a time where you have to sit down and discuss and negotiate and finally resolve your problem.
A massive workshop in nonviolence. That's the way Dr. Martin Luther King described this rally and march in Chicago. But as the kickoff to a summer of demonstration and protest, today's gathering is in fact a critical test of the nonviolent movement. Dr. King's leadership is on the line. The turnout today is far below King's hopes and expectations. And King has been attacked by the Black Power advocates. In fact, some of them were here today. They were on the middle field that while King's approach is all right in the South, it is not strong enough for the big city ghettos. King's speech was the highlight of the pre-march rally.
So basically what they're saying is Dr. King, they're trying to say that Dr. King didn't have as much leverage in the North as he did in the South. That was the march that they did in Chicago. And Dr. King was extremely disappointed because in Chicago they wanted it to be a violent protest and all of that. And the people in Chicago up north, they didn't want that. They didn't want that. Hold on, y'all. And so, yeah. But I was looking at something the other day, and Dr. King, now I understand what he meant. They said that Dr. King says that when he started going up north to try and do protests and things of that nature, a lot of people, it was a lot worse. Some of those cities up north, it was a lot worse than any of the cities down south. Okay. Now you talking about when you started going like further, like up north and stuff. Um, you talking about New York, which would be considered the east, really. Chicago would be considered the north. Minister Farrakhan and people like that, they had set up, migrated to Chicago and places like that. They didn't necessarily believe in peaceful protests. They believed in, um, I'm gonna do to you what you do to me. So you had a lot of conscious people, I guess, or Muslims and stuff like that, that were very outspoken and had their own movement going. And I guess they felt like they had been oppressed for a good little while, a long time. Okay. And they just were not ready. They felt like doing peaceful protests while dogs and stuff were being sicked on them, while they was being kicked and all of that. That was degressing. Okay. That was going back. He said they almost killed Dr. King in Cicero, Illinois. So if you look at this march this protest that Dr. King did in Chicago in 1966, it's not nearly as many people. Okay.
Then they marched some 3 miles to Chicago City Hall. There were many white people in the march, some labor union officials, some clergymen, and there were many more marchers than there were spectators. At City Hall, King posted his notice on the door, 14 points of protest, demands for such things as more jobs, an end to slums, integrated housing, better schools. And Martin Luther King's prestige was also tacked to that door. He came to Chicago 6 months ago to transform the lives of the city's Negroes. But some of those same Negroes feel King is ineffective, that his leadership is weakening. And as this summer of protest begins today, other Negro leaders, many of them more militant, more anti-white, are waiting on the sidelines, watching to see if Dr. King will fail. There is another civil rights march taking place today, that one in the Deep South. A story from ABC's Tom Jarrell.
By this time, you know what's something? By this time, you could see black soldiers. They had like soldiers and stuff out there, um, for the riots. I don't know if they had them to, I guess they call this to protect black people, also to protect all people. But, it seemed like to me that the law enforcement and the soldiers were doing a lot of the damages, oftentimes, that's what we saw. And it's something when you see around the civil rights time, like black soldiers, that's something.
Because we have stood up for nonviolence with all of our hearts. And those who will make this peaceful revolution impossible will make a violent revolution inevitable. And we've got to get this over. I need help. I need some victories. I need some concessions to take back.
As I look at Dr. King and he's standing up there, it really hurts me to see, how this man is swallowing hard, the nervousness, of him, he stood out front. He was like the sacrificial lamb. Okay. And to see how we have, like, how things are in our community now is really sad. When we got this man that shedded blood, okay, for our community. Hold on, y'all.
I've seen it work in the Birminghams and the Albanys and the Montgomerys of the South. And I've seen it change conditions, and I've seen it literally subpoena the conscience of a large segment of the nation to appear before the judgment seat of morality on the whole question of civil rights. So I will not and I cannot give up nonviolence. It's a powerful method, but above all, it's the right way if we are seeking to build a brotherly society. But I must say that I need some help in getting this method across. A lot of people have lost faith in the establishment. They've lost faith in the democratic process. They've lost faith in nonviolence, precisely because they've been the victims of so many deferred dreams. They've been the victims of so many blasted hopes. And they live day in and day out on the outskirts of hope. They've been the victim.
Kathy Chambers, what was that you just typed? I don't understand.
Of so many things that made them feel that conditions were going to change, and they didn't change. They have been the victims of broken promises. And for this reason, they've lost faith in a lot of things. And there's only one way to restore that faith, and that is for us to be able to take them something back. If we continue to talk to the political leaders of our cities all over this country, and our words fall on deaf ears, and they tell us only about the progress that has been made without understanding that it is not enough to have surface progress. We've got to have progress that will make certain structural changes. It's like improving the food in a prison. And the fact is that millions of Negroes are still living on a reservation. They need to get out. The ghetto needs to be dispersed. And small programs won't do it now. There must be huge, massive programs, planned programs, imaginative, bold programs carried out by individuals who are not looking out to see whether they're going to offend anybody.
Yeah, I'm listening from work. I didn't. Oh, okay. You all, and y'all know what's so sad? The same cry that Dr. King had back in 1966. It seems like we got a lot of those same problems today. Okay. Have we progressed any? Because it looks like there's a lot of regression going on.
But looking out to see whether they are doing what is morally right. For the ultimate test of a man is not where he stands in moments of convenience and moments of comfort, but where he stands in moments of challenge and moments of controversy. And we have challenging moments now, and we need leadership that can stand up at this hour. President Kennedy said two things that I still remember. When we were in the Birmingham movement, he came before the nation, presented his civil rights bill. He said the issue of civil rights is more than a political issue.
Hitter, was Dr. King from Montgomery or was he from Birmingham? Maybe from Georgia.
Now I want to say this final thing. I know how busy all of you happen to be. I wish tonight, as Chester Robinson has already said, you will join with us and try to help us get people off of the streets and try to help us maintain some peace in the community, because, as we've said, the riots won't help any of us. Now, this would simply mean walking in groups of 2 and 3, not having, as Chester said, a march of all of us together, because that would assemble too many crowds, and what we don't want in this area now is large crowds. But it would mean walking around designated areas, urging people not to come on the streets and urging them not to engage in acts of violence. I'm sure that the group here can be very helpful in designating particular areas, because I think the riot has moved to 2 or 3 areas now. It started off in this area, but it has moved to other areas. And the possibility is that it can move to areas even beyond that. Now, WSO has done a very effective job with many of its workers going around. We've had some of our staff members from SCLC assisting where we could. But
Okay, you all. That's just one of the ones I wanted to show you all. You know, I got to thinking about, I was looking at this documentary, and you all know that, like, after President Kennedy was assassinated, Johnson, his vice president, took over. And so he was supposed to continue on, you know, with getting bills passed and helping with the civil rights movement and all of that. And so they said that Johnson, I think his name was Leonard Johnson. Was it Leonard? It was something, Lenny Johnson or something. They went from, you know, calling Dr. King the peaceful pastor to when he changed his stance in 1968, the year that he died, and he was talking about doing another march on Washington, because he saw, you know, as he said, I've led my people into a burning house. And he wanted to get reparations, force the United States to give Black people reparations, as they did. They was giving other communities reparations. That's what it was, Lyndon. They said it went from Lyndon Johnson calling him the peaceful pastor to calling him that nigger pastor, because it changed just that quick. As long as he was keeping the Black people in line, you know, hey, I guess they looked at him as the token Negro, to keep the Black people in line while we spit and beat on them and all of that. But once he opened his eyes, it went from I have a dream to now I've awakened, and I've led my people into a burning house, and I've kept my people quiet while you all give reparations to the Jews who unfortunately was tortured over in, I forget the country. I don't know why I can't think of it right now. It'll come to my mind. Germany, okay? And you give their ancestors reparations, and other communities reparations that did not have to go through nearly what our ancestors went through, right? And so he went from when he said, we're going back to Washington and we're going to demand our check, our reparations. He went from being a token peaceful pastor to being called that nigger pastor, okay? I also was looking at y'all. I ain't trying to be no teacher, okay? Yeah, talk about Vietnam. Hey, Carol Green. I ain't trying to be no teacher, but y'all, I be loving to talk about stuff. And if I get some things wrong, y'all tell me, because y'all, you know, just say, no, Tamara, it happened like this. I don't be getting mad, because this stuff is right down my alley. Y'all see why I'm so boring, but I love it when y'all are on here with me and y'all communicate with me and we all talking about this stuff together. It makes me so happy. I'm so goofy. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. Okay. Here, I just sent it to you. So this is what's so sad, okay? When I think about, even what they did to young Dolph, like now we have, so much black on black crime when women are forced to be widows and all of that. And this is a little special that they did on CBS. And this was the first Christmas that Coretta Scott King had to spend without her husband. This is the same year that Dr. King was killed. Remember, they assassinated him in April of 68, I do believe. And then this is the first Christmas that they had without their father. The bloodshed, you're talking about another black woman left to pick up the pieces because her husband stood on the front line to try and help black people, right? And as a result, we've had people that come before us to allow them to try and minimize our history, to reduce Dr. King to "I just have a dream." They don't necessarily talk about the assassination because now, if somebody like me talk about the assassination and the reality of what this black lady had to go through, because they slaughtered her husband, right? Now we got the and Dr. King stood on the front line. They killed him over in South Memphis. South Memphis hotel. And then over 50 years later, okay, we got black on black crime where a young man that we helped to make rich and wealthy, he came from out of North Memphis. He helped to kill young Dolph. Okay, and it's a sad thing because we're all young Dolph was really his brother, right? And we're all in the same community. And so now we have, as Colt Figure says, the blackface Ku Klux Klan. They don't have to go and kill anymore. We got black people that's gladly doing it, unfortunately. And this is the reality. Just like, we think about young Dolph was assassinated a month before Christmas. Mia J had to pick up the pieces with her young children, just as Miss Scott had to do, and try to put on just right after they buried her man, her children's father. He was not even cold in his grave, and to try to pick up the pieces about a week after they buried him to give her young children who don't truly understand a good Christmas. The devil is a motherfucking lie, and I get mad every time I think about it. It absolutely needs to be called out so that it is not repeated constantly. Okay, what's up, Hitter? What's going on?
What's going on with you, man?
Your topic too, ain't it? This right down your alley, ain't it?
Oh yeah, this right in my wheelhouse. You know that.
I found this little special where Coretta Scott King. Look at how poor she is, her children, and you know that this was like what from April to April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. That's 8 months. I still count on my fingers sometimes. I told you I do. So that's about 8 months after King is dead. I mean, these folks are still grieving, and the children, even though they're a little big, they don't really understand.
Right.
We call him Marty.
And how old are you? Mrs. King, I wonder if you'd introduce your family to us.
This is Dexter Scott.
And how old are you, Dexter?
7.
Now, this fellow over here,
This is Martin Luther III. We call him Marty.
And how old are you, Marty?
I'm 11 years old.
I imagine, of course, that you bear your name with great pride, your father's name. But are there ever any difficulties because you are Martin Luther King?
Well, sometimes there are difficulties, but most of the times they aren't because, well, most of the times there aren't any difficulties, but sometimes there are.
What kind of thing?
Well, like sometimes people ask me my father's name, and sometimes they tease me about my name and things like that.
Mm-hmm. But mostly
most of the time nobody teases me anything.
Have you decided what you're going to do when you grow up?
I want to be a preacher like my father.
You do.
So you could tell even though it had been 8 months since his father had passed away, you could tell that he was a constant figure in his children's lives. They definitely looked up to him because he says, I want to be a preacher and I do believe he is a preacher, isn't he?
Yes, Dr. King, Martin Luther King III.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. I don't know if he got sick or not. I'm finna check.
That's so true, Miss Carol Green. That's so true.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's 60 years old.
Go ahead. You said he what now?
I said it's crazy because he is now 68 years old. Same smile.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is Bernice. And she's still alive too, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what are you expecting for Christmas, Bunny?
A bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
A horn.
Mm-hmm.
A doll.
To your left is Yolanda Denise. We call her Yoki.
How old are you, Yoki?
I'm 13.
And where do you go to school and what grade are you in?
I go to Grady High School and I'm in the 9th grade.
Inasmuch as you're 13, you're the oldest one in the family, do you have special responsibilities?
Well, since I'm the oldest and all, I have to watch after Marty and Dexter and Bunny, and they aren't really that much trouble. And when Mother goes out of town, I have to look after them. And it's not really that much to do. They're kind of independent.
I must say they are a handsome and healthy and pretty happy-looking bunch of children. And you...
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about him saying that. You know,
Yeah.
I understand what he's trying to do, but it's almost as if he's saying, well, you know, they killed his father and they picked up the pieces. They happy and healthy. They moving along. It's okay. It's not okay. It had been 8 months. Maybe I'm taking it wrong. You know, Miss King is poised as she should be because she's such a lady, you know, but it's almost as if he's saying, well, yeah, they slaughtered Dr. King, but you know, hey, they're healthy and moving on.
They have to realize a lot of these folks, they did not have practice, and some still don't have practice in talking to us. So when they talk, it comes across as offensive because they still don't really know what to say when they have conversations with us if it's not on a strictly professional level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially back then. You know, when I hear him say what he said, it almost comes off like, you know, y'all don't look sickly or depressed or anything. You know, it's like, oh, what do you expect? What do you expect? These kids were taught to be strong in the face of adversity. They lived their whole lives facing adversity, bombings, threats, people attacking their dad on the regular, you know, so, I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm pretty sure that he prepared them. He even though they may not have understood it, you always, what your parents say to you is always etched in your brain, whether you understand it or not.
Right. Most of the time, living by example is all that's needed for some kids. Kids are always watching, and what comes out your mouth may go over their head, but what you do on a daily is gonna follow them. If you're a man of standard, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna raise men of standard. If you're deadbeat and your mom is, loose, you're probably gonna produce those type of results unless you just got a child that's driven and got a gift by God, an unction in their gut to be more. Then you're gonna get what you put forth.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Oki especially. I imagine that she must have been a real consolation at the time of the tragedy.
Yes, she was, Mike. She was really so much of a consolation to me because of the way she accepted this with so much understanding and so much courage, and it was so reassuring to me. And she said to me, "Mommy, I'm not going to cry because my dad is not dead. He may be dead physically. And one day I'm going to see him again." And she said, "Mommy, you are such a brave and strong lady. I don't know what I'd do if I were in your shoes. Mommy, should I hate the man who killed my dad in?" And I said, "No, darling, Daddy wouldn't want you to do that." And of course, I also said to her, "You are so brave, and I'm so proud of you." And I put my arms around her. And of course, she didn't cry very much. I didn't see her crying anymore, really.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been very happy and very well adjusted since, because she too feels that there was meaning in this death. What my husband said so often, that unearned suffering is redemptive. And I think somehow all of us have felt that
You know what? Even though that was in 1968 and she's strong and stuff, you could see the very hurt in her eyes.
Definitely.
It's like she's on autopilot, but she was forced to pick up the pieces and pick up, even though her heart and her guts was hanging out, she was forced to pick them up and carry on.
Right. And everything that she's saying is calculated. And it's sad that I wouldn't even put the eyes of the nation on this family this soon, because, like you said, they're still grieving, they're still hurting, and what we looking at right now is immeasurable courage and strength. But they grew as a unit, watching immeasurable courage and strength. That's who Dr. King was. Dr. King looked in the face of adversity and sheer terrorism on a daily, and they follow suit and they learn. But nobody should have to go through this. Nobody. It's a damn shame if we're being honest about it.
It is. It is a shame. They wanted to. I'm pretty sure, that it was a lot of government officials that was behind it, and their faces probably hit the floor to see the composure of this Black woman, because oftentimes they thought that they probably thought that and I'm sure it did tear her up in the inside. And then I'm sure from years on, because I was reading that she kind of moved her children away from. She kind of didn't want her children really a whole lot in the civil rights movement. They did speeches and stuff, they would go and do speeches and things of that nature. but she kind of geared them away from that because she had lost her husband, and I do understand that.
Right. Martin III, he still ended up being a human rights activist, but not to the level, you know, and he didn't really have to go to the level that his dad did. His dad pioneered a lot of efforts and kicked in a lot of doors for Black people. And I just want to say this, you know, you sit back and you listen to these people talking about, there's a lot of videos on this app calling Dr. King and Malcolm X CIA agents and all this whole crazy, weird shit. These people did what they felt was right in their hearts. Dr. King, being a Christian man, felt like that it would be the right thing to integrate. You know, as we look back on it, he wanted the same opportunities as the next man. And for him to have those opportunities, he felt like integration was the best thing to do. Hindsight being 2020, integration kind of crippled the Black community because we became dependent on the big system versus having to produce our own goods and shop with our own people. But that was not the intent for Dr. King. Dr. King wanted what was good for the goose to be good for the gander. That was it. Period, point blank. And for people to paint him in the light they paint him in is utterly ridiculous. Dr. King is one of the strongest men to ever walk the face of this earth. The courage that he exuded on a daily basis is nothing like any of us have ever seen. I dare anybody to walk 88 miles from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery in the dark of night for somebody else that they don't even know, for kids that hadn't even been born, to travel the world and become a Nobel laureate, to go to New York City and Harlem and get stabbed inches away from his heart. You know, there's so many things that Dr. King did that was just groundbreaking. You know, from Selma to Birmingham, even to Memphis in the garbage worker strike. You know, he didn't have to go to Memphis. The day that the day before he died, he was suffering from I'm not gonna say pneumonia, but he had a bad cold. You know, when he gave the mountaintop speech the night before he passed, he was barely able to stand. If you watch that video, he kind of fall into the arms of Ralph Abernathy and those standing behind him. So don't give me this BS about Dr. King was this and Dr. King was working for the government. Dr. King was working for his people, and he died doing so.
Absolutely. Because if he was working for the government, they never would have had an urgency to get him up out of here.
Right. Absolutely. Some people hated Dr. King. They absolutely hated Dr. King. George Wallace abhorred Dr. King. John F. Kennedy had to federalize troops just to protect Dr. King when he was in the state of Alabama. When they went up north to Cicero, Illinois, and they marched through neighborhoods, and the numbers were thinner up north than they were down south because those folks weren't as organized. And they had white folks jumping out of trees, throwing bottles and bricks. I don't think nobody in this chat or nobody that you know would face that type of adversity, man, and then have this many kids and a wife at home. Boy, y'all tripping, fam.
A beautiful family. Look at how beautiful his wife is. That he's left behind.
Yeah. Man, I tell you, it don't make any sense. And you know, the generations after Dr. King, I would say after the 90s into the 2000s, he basically been relegated to a meme. People putting gold chains on Dr. King, wave caps, gold teeth. And now that the AI done came out, folks is, you know, doing AI videos of Dr. King saying some crazy stuff. And it's like, if it wasn't for people like Dr. King, you wouldn't even have a chance in life. You wouldn't even have a chance in life. People like Dr. King, Stokely Carmichael, the civil rights worker in Mississippi that got unalived in his driveway, Medgar Evers. You know, if it weren't for these type of people, you wouldn't have a chance at life. You know, as it is today, you can choose to be a screw up. Back then, they didn't even have a choice. If you wanted to be a college student, you couldn't be, unless you were going to Tuskegee Institute or Alabama A&M University, Alabama State University. I don't care how good of an athlete that you was, you were gonna shoot that rock or run that rock at Grambling or JSU. It just wasn't happening. You wasn't going to Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M. Them places were off limits. People like this made it a possibility. And for people to just turn around and give Dr. King and the like they asked the kids it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to our culture. And I'm gonna tell you, the people that sit back, that don't have melanin in their skin, and they see what we do to our own so-called ancestors. I'm gonna call him an ancestor because he been so far removed from the young kids of the day. They really don't look at Dr. King as a real person. They think he is a mythical creature.
Absolutely.
Man.
But you know what's so sad? We got a lot of Black people in office in key positions that we've elected that allow it to happen.
Right.
We send them up there to fight for us, and they let it happen.
They too busy being happy that they the first Black to sit in that seat. You know what I'm saying? Or their job then provided them certain benefits that nobody in their bloodline has ever achieved, and they happy for that. Nobody's trying to break into rooms that we don't exist in anymore because they know it ain't happening. You know, the whole story behind the Black Messiah.
Well, they're okay with being an honorary member. That means we let a Black person in just so that we don't get sued, but you just gonna sit there at the damn table. You ain't making no decision. You're an honorary member. Right. And they okay with that.
A token member. Nobody wants to strive for a change because they know that their very seat will be at risk. And they know if you smart enough to penetrate these rooms, you know that these folks are looking for a Black Messiah. There'll never be another Marcus Garvey, Dr. King, or Malcolm X. There'll never be.
And you know, with the system now, they take pride in knowing that if there's ever one to rise up, quietly rise up, they already know that they can just get a Black person to go and knock him down.
That's what they always
understand. A lot of these movements where a lot of our leaders was knocked down was infiltrated. They infiltrated, but they also used like Black spies. How could they do it knowing that they were, especially back then, you know, knowing that they were the same thing, they were subject to the same types of atrocities, you know?
Outside of Dr. King and the chairman, Fred Hampton, everybody that was executed by their own people. Malcolm X, Huey Newton, all of these people. And I throw Medgar Evers in with Dr. King them because Byron DeLay Beckwith was the man that assassinated Medgar Evers. Mm-hmm. But these people, this has all been in the game from day one. You get one of their own kind to do it. That way you don't get any type of pushback or racial strife. That's been the game. Mm-hmm. That's where COINTELPRO comes from.
That's the reason why I always say, you know, when I talk about, they absolutely kill Young Dolph for nothing. but there has to be some repercussions, because there are repercussions in every community. If you think, because you have to think about, for some reason, we've turned into a different type of animal. No other communities want to see their community held back. They understand if that money is generated through their community, it's going to sooner or later help them. Our community has that crabs in a barrel mentality, and I try not to be hard on my community, but somebody has to say it. If we keep on, trying to beat around the bush, I think we stay stagnant. It's not everybody in our community, but it is that crabs in a bucket mentality, and there are no repercussions for selling out the Black community. And our community is totally vulnerable because everybody gets wealth and come up off of hijacking the Black community. And so what we have is we have Blacks to get in, or they get people behind them and they go, okay, well, we'll put money behind you, but you have to do this. How they do it, knowing what our ancestors go through, they gladly take the money to get elected and go up there and get in these seats and sell out their very own community. And I agree with Farrakhan when he said, no one man can rise above the conditions of his people. How do you think that you can go and be the token Negro and rise, and then your people are still suffering?
Absolutely. And it's sad. I sat up and I listened to a guy speak on this the other day. He said, there's no organization in our communities. Everybody, we used to want to vote. Now people don't even want to vote. They feel like their vote don't count. You know why your vote don't count? Because we as a community, we don't organize and weaponize our vote. Other communities, they weaponize their vote. It's already set in stone who they gonna vote for.
Mm-hmm.
When it come to our culture, we always pattern ourselves after even the street dudes. You got a rapper named Yo Gotti. His name literally comes from the Costa Nostra crime family. But guess what? We can't even have organized crime. You know what organized crime is in the Black community? Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, GDs. These folks had organizations that would turn elections. We can't even organize and vote as a single unit. If we could do that, we would have more success and more fruitfulness in our communities because people will respect our vote. I vote all over the place. It's all over the place. You got folks voting on the blue side and folks with the red caps on going to vote. And then you got folks that I don't believe in that. And then that vote already counted for. I ain't going down now. It's so segmented it's watered down. It's a wash. So your vote don't count because nobody has even sat and had town hall meetings and tried to figure out what candidate gonna benefit you the most. And if there's not one, then we should be able to propel one to run. Because that's what they do.
I agree. Well, we let people from other communities come in and influence our community.
Right.
That's what's been going on who to vote for. And all they do is dangle money.
That's it.
Go into the Black churches and make a real big donation. Now you got pastor. Even though Tamara is a viable candidate, she's for our community. Okay, she's strong. She ain't bought out. Well, Brother Massa just gave church a real big old donation. He's the main of God. He's saving God's churches. That's who we're gonna vote for.
Man, that was a
whole flock to follow it.
It was an urban legend about a mayor down in Selma, Alabama. Bro was mayor for the better part of 40 years. And every year before the election, it never mattered who he ran against. Every year before the election, he would hold this big thing in the park where they would fry fish and hot dogs and chicken.
Hold on. You can go ahead. I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
And these folk would have a big picnic. This man he would buy his vote with fish and chicken and hot dogs. And this man ran Selma, Alabama for the better part of 40 years doing that same tactic. We don't have any type of, we don't have any type of morals, fam. When a person can come and throw a damn cookout and give out free food and win an election, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Justice for Dolph, salute to you, fam. He said, shout out to Martin, the best to ever do it. I agree. The best to ever do it. And said, what's the guy in the wheelchair? I heard he hated Dr. King and orchestrated his death. J. Edgar Hoover, no, that would be George Corley Wallace. I don't know for sure if George Wallace had a hand in Dr. King's death, but I tell you what, yeah, I'm not going to speak on that because this is a Memphis-based talk show, and I just say this: whoever coordinated it worked hand in hand with law enforcement in the city that he was unalived in. I leave it right there. We covered this on my channel probably a year ago, Divine Black Rose, when we went down the whole rundown of what happened, the players involved, and it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I was literally telling my son this yesterday. There are so many of our ancestors' names lost to history, and we don't teach it like we used to. No. Because the pride factor is gone. You used to be proud of your history, They'll teach it in elementary school to probably the 3rd or 4th grade, and then it's out of there, So it's sad. Nobody gonna tell our story if we don't tell it. They don't want it to be known anyway. Granville Woods and Benjamin Banneker and all them people, that's cool. But the key players have to be known. They have to be known. The Malcolm X's, they have to be known. The Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichaels, man, the list goes on and on. The brother that marched and was assaulted by gunfire in his quest to enter Ole Miss. Yeah. Them folks had a whole riot on the campus in Oxford, Mississippi to keep one man of color from enrolling in the Ole Miss. Yeah.
Did you see what Chris said?
You can weaponize your vote by becoming a lobbyist. Public voting don't elect at federal levels, and we don't understand how to form a trust and become a conglomerate and move as one even locally. I agree. And the thing is, people are so envious that they don't want to let one person be ahead. They won't let one person be the head. This is the chairman of this. It used to be a point in time when people knew who had the juice, and they wouldn't fight against that. But this is the era of clout chasing. So you're gonna always have somebody in the back basically saying that why that nigga doing it? You know, why they ain't got me doing it? I could do it just as good or even better, you know? And that's where we fall short.
And believe
That's
it or
what we
not,
fall
even in the
short.
civil rights days when Dr. King was marching, even though he was out front getting stabbed, being shot at, being threatened, you had brothers that was in the movement that was backstabbing him.
Right. Ralph David Abernathy. Absolutely. In every city, he had somebody that he worked in close proximity with that was a part of that city. But Ralph David Abernathy was with him at all times. And then you had the minister from Memphis that was supposed to take Dr. King to dinner that night. Y'all know his name. The one that said he moved out the way so they can get a clear shot. And that's when they shot Billy Cowles.
Billy Cowles Church right there off of Parkway, South Parkway, on the same street that Gangsta Black them live on, across the street from Gangsta Black's house.
Hold on a second, Miss T.
That's something. Billy Cowles Church is right there at Taylor and South Parkway, right directly across the street from Gangsta Black's grandmother's house. On Taylor Street. Isn't that something? Let's finish. Let's look at some more
He gave his,
and see, they don't necessarily show women like this either anymore. Look at how even though she's hurting, look at how postured and how she's such a lady, right? They really want to eliminate anything as it has to do, I think, as it relates to strong, poised Black women that are you know are ladies. They don't ever want that to be a reference.
his life in such a
There wasn't
meaningful
one
way
in the home.
That what he lived for and what he gave his life for will bring about some of the changes that are necessary.
But let me ask you, Mrs. King, I think that some of us sit around sometimes and wonder if the death of Martin Luther King didn't leave the civil rights movement, for a lot of people, leaderless, rudderless.
I don't think that this is so. I think that if we're looking for another Martin Luther King, we won't find him, because he comes once in a century, maybe once in 1,000 years. But there are...
That lady said that in 1968. And she prophesied, she said, there won't be another one. They come once in 1,000 years. Has there ever been another Dr. King since 1968?
Many other persons now who will come forth, I believe, and assume leadership that they never assumed before, because they feel that there is this need.
But as far as Black leaders are concerned, I think that you'll agree. We hear in the papers, see on television more about the young Black militant leaders. We hear names like Carmichael and Brown and Cleaver and Newton and Seal. And you begin to wonder if perhaps they aren't getting more followers than some of the older civil rights leaders.
Well, there are those persons who don't, who at least say they don't believe in nonviolence as a tactic. But I tend to feel that there are many more people who believe, who at least say they believed in the things that Martin Luther King believed in, than there are who believe in violence and destruction. I think we tend to hear those people who speak loudest, and sometimes they are persons who whose message is exaggerated out of proportion very often. There is this determination on the part of many Black people who are called militants. This determination and this this desperation, the fact that they want right now, and I do too. We want, Martin Luther King wanted equality,
Now,
justice, right now. I think we all want the same things. Our goals are basically the same. But I tend to feel that those things that he gave his life for will become stronger rather than weaker, because he has become now a martyr for his cause. And many of the poor people that he, whose rights he fought for, have hope somehow. It's a strange thing, but they have hope that they didn't have before, even though he's not here.
certainly your life is
And
Y'all
hope
make sure y'all,
and hope turned to dope.
that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Because if you think about the 70s, when you look at some of the videos in the 70s when they were wearing the afros and they were saying, "I'm black and I'm proud," James Brown really started a movement. It seems like black people were just really happy to be African Americans and proud of their heritage. And it seemed to be a progression. And then in comes crack in the early 80s.
And H before that.
And
They
heroin
folks-
before that. Mhm.
Yeah, man, them folk flooded the communities everywhere, you know. And then, you know, when H won everybody cup of tea, that's when they came with, you know, the $10 rock. You know, the $10 rock was gonna give you that premium type of feeling. I ain't gonna use the H word. It's gonna give you that premium feeling for only $10, and the back end is not gonna be good because it only lasts for so long. And the kicker is you gonna go back again and again and again and again. And when you run out of money, you gotta find money. So you stealing, you robbing, and that creates a whole nother element.
Mhm.
So now,
Women selling their precious bodies, and now they're contracting AIDS.
and now it's criminal.
Mhm.
So you was at first you was just a junkie, but you ain't got no money. So now you committing crimes. So we locking everybody up. Mighty funny how the people that was distributing this, they got over like fat rats for I say the better part of 3 to 5 years, and then they started locking them up.
You know, I was listening to Minister Farrakhan say that the Reagan-Bush administration started bringing in crack cocaine, and they used freeway Rick to bring it in. And so I guess after they used him, didn't he do a lot of time in jail? They turned around and locked him up.
Yeah, he did a lot of time. Yeah, Freeway Ricky Ross. Yeah. So the show Snowfall basically tells the story of Freeway Rick. Yeah. So we don't need one person to lead. We need to lead as a collective. But I'm gonna tell you, Divine Black Rose, that's what they was doing. But it's always gonna be one that shines brighter than the other. You know what I mean? It's always gonna be one that shines brighter than the other. And in that regard, I mean, you had leaders like you had Ralph Abernathy, you had other people. One, I forget the guy's name, but the FBI basically pointed this dude out as being a communist, and so they had to excommunicate him from the group. But they always led as a collective. But you know, when God shines a light on a diamond, you know what a diamond is when you see it. And Dr. King was an absolute diamond. Everything that he did came effortless, you know. So yeah, man.
He commanded the attention of the people. And you have to
Right.
understand, you know, how people will say, well, you know, I'm just as smart as such and such. They always comparing themselves. You might be just as smart, but some people just command the attention of people. And that is what was needed. You know, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. I was thinking about, what was it called? They have chapters. I don't know why I can't think of it. They have one for the African Americans that they formed back in the 60s. What are they called?
Chapters.
They have, yeah, they got one in every city. What they supposedly come out
NAACP.
right, NAACP. They got them. They're almost obsolete. You don't even
Right.
hear people talk about they're going to go to the NAACP for nothing.
No. NAACP, SCLC, SNCC. None of yeah, it's all obsolete now. Yeah, Iran Contra with Oliver North, where they flew them folks arms and brought in a bunch of coca leaves, you know, right over to Arkansas in the middle of a field in a town called Mena. Yeah, the Rainbow Coalition, the Push, the Urban League, even the EEOC, all of that stuff. None of that stuff is effective these days.
Because the NAACP, I do believe is funded by the government. So how they gonna fight against a government that is consistently pushing certain things that is not conducive to African American communities?
Right.
They're being funded by them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of that stuff has went by the wayside. In Alabama, we had the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they were very effective. But I mean, in this day and age, and in the era that we're living in right now, none of that. I mean, folks get defunded and some more stuff. You know, it's just not effective anymore. Yeah.
Here's something else that you never hear them talk about, Hitter. And I pulled this up only because it was
the world is very familiar with. As 11 Alive celebrates Women's History Month, we want to highlight an important person in that legacy. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Tonight, 11 Alive's Naima Abdullahi brings us the story of the woman who raised him and pushed him toward a lifelong commitment to serve others.
She was the First Lady of Ebenezer Baptist Church and the First Lady of her community. Alberta Williams King is a name deeply woven in the fabric of what makes Atlanta, Atlanta.
She was just a remarkable human being.
Her grandson, Martin Luther King III.
What is the untold story of Miss Alberta Williams King?
Gifted, loving, skilled.
And her granddaughter, Angela Ferris Watkins.
Alberta Williams King is one of the most important aspects of the modern civil rights movement.
Long before the King name became a household name in Atlanta, she was a queen in her own right.
There's no question. She was a remarkable human being. Literally, maybe who walked with kings and queens, but retained the common touch.
Her father, Adam Daniel Williams, was a pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church. When he passed away, her husband, Martin Luther King Sr., better known as Daddy King, began to lead the church. Dr. Maurice Hobson, African-American Studies professor at Georgia State University, says the King name has since become synonymous with Ebenezer's identity.
There's a long-standing tradition of Black women who are at the center for full-scale civil and human rights. And Mrs. King is absolutely one that should be considered.
How was she able to introduce history and the ugly side of history to her children in a way that gave them a motivation that a better day is possible instead of feeling like this is the way it'll always be?
Her greatest task was developing her own children. She was one of the last people that Dad talked to before he was killed. My grandmother explained the vestiges of racism. This is the way it is today. We must work to make the world better.
There's a lot to say about the way that she explained the problem.
You know, it makes me happy that they're speaking about his mother, but it's almost like it's been like a dirty little secret that his mom was also assassinated.
And his brother, Alfred Daniel.
His brother was assassinated? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was drowned at his house.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
How was this after King was killed?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, you had somebody to really take out a whole family, really, that could have had a voice or potential.
You had to eliminate the Black Messiah. And A.D. King was fiery just like his brother. Yeah, Daddy King didn't raise no punks, period. He was a beast, and he created some powerful young men.
I thought they was going to talk about Mama King being assassinated while she was at church, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yep.
1968. It is a legacy that is marked by the pursuit of civil justice and peace in the nation. Unfortunately, the King family legacy is also tainted by wrongful deaths. 6 years after the assassination of one of the world's most esteemed leaders, Dr. King, his mother, Alberta Williams King, would suffer the same fate, dying at the hands of a gunman. The tragic incident led the world to wonder why anyone would seek to harm a family who has already experienced so much sorrow. Some would say the answer is religion. Others, misguided anger. This is the untold true story of the assassination of Alberta Williams King and the Black Hebrew Israelite who took her life. Mrs. Alberta Williams King was born in 1903 in Atlanta, Georgia. She was the daughter of Jenny Celeste and Reverend A.D. Williams, the second pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. The upstanding values her parents instilled in her, principles that she would pass down to her children, are the foundation for the historic legacy created by her second-born, Martin Luther King Jr. Mrs. King's life was deeply rooted in her faith and activism. Her father, husband, and both of her sons were all ministers at Ebenezer, where she played an integral role until she retired in 1972. The King matriarch would often return to lead the church in song. Ironically, Ebenezer Baptist Church, just a few blocks away from where her son Martin was buried 6 years prior, was where Mrs. Alberta Williams King took her last breath. Her death was classified as an assassination. The man who carried out the heinous act was 23-year-old Marcus Wayne Chenault. Born on June 30th, 1951 in Winchester, Kentucky, Marcus Wayne was described as a quiet child who read a lot. He was raised by his parents, Marcus H.
You know, we have to pause it. It's not hard for me to believe that some of these people, especially when you're talking about high-profile killings like this, now this person looks to be a special person. It's not hard for me to believe that a lot of these people were put on missions.
Right. It's called MK Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing that led this woman to stab Dr. King in Harlem.
Says this was by design. CIA wanted all the groups dismantled. Says
Right.
that rat been ratting. He told it all. I think that's exactly why he got out. I think he been gave up Gotti now. And what happened?
You
This
can.
rat. What he talking?
He's talking about. But,
Oh, okay.
and Hindley Chenault. They were God-fearing and lived comfortably. That was until they moved to Dayton, Ohio, when Marcus, often called Wayne by his family, was a teenager.
quiet.
Hindley,
Get over here.
who was deeply religious, recalled to Washington Post. Up until 1967, he seemed to enjoy the church, but later he became a bit confused and started asking questions about different things in the Bible. As a student in high school, Chenault excelled academically. A school officer at Dayton Roth High School told Jet magazine, He just went from homeroom to class. I never had any trouble with him. He was as good as gold. In 1969, Marcus was accepted into Ohio State University, and it was during his college matriculation that his demeanor began to change. Although he was still described as quiet and studious by his professors and peers, it was during this time that he began to reassess his traditional Christian values. King James was a Caucasian who based his interpretations on America's standards. His newfound religious ideals came from the teachings of his mentor, Hananiah Israel of Cincinnati. Hananiah, a spiritual teacher whose legal name is Stephen Hallman, spread messages from what he called a form of Judaism. Chenault met Hananiah about 8 months before the incident after...
Hitter, that's exactly what it was. MK Ultra.
Absolutely.
That's exactly.
Nowadays, they don't like to use that word. They use the word radicalized.
seeing his advertisement titled "What Every Negro Should Know About Scripture" in a magazine. Israel began instructing him in the Bible during meetings in which Chenault took lots of notes and often invited friends. Hananiah criticized Black civil rights activists and church leaders as evil and deceptive. In his teachings, he wrote, "When you stop those lying preachers from deceiving you and your loved ones, from robbing them of millions of dollars a year, you will have a better economy." He also taught that Black civil rights leaders were leading Black people to doom. He told Dayton Daily News, "White men are being used by the Most High as a correcting rod, but God is going to do away with white people and free my people. When Black people are freed, they will be the masters and whites will be the slaves. Until then, Blacks should remain slaves to white men because that is the role God has assigned to them." Although Israelites insisted that he did not advocate for violence, he taught that only the death of Black ministers would free Black people. He told Dayton Daily, "I gave Marcus the key to understanding the scriptures. He awakened from the death of sleep, from the grave of ignorance." Hananiah and Marcus, along with other young men who followed his teachings, were labeled by some as Black Hebrew Israelites.
Okay. They want to talk about him. I want to hear more about her.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing about him.
You know damn about no. Shout out to Winchester, Kentucky, but yeah, dang, y'all exports is here.
Oh my goodness. This, let's see.
Rochelle said, "This is so interesting, T and Heather. I never knew any of this about his mom and brother." Yeah. It's absolute facts. And it's sad too. You know. I mean, what about Malcolm X? Did you know, I think Malcolm X's grandson, he committed an act. I think he tried to unalive Betty Shabazz.
Who did?
Malcolm X's grandson. He tried to unalive his own grandma.
Wow. And I think somebody ended up killing him, didn't it?
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just wild, man.
I think Dick Gregory spoke about some things that they did to him. This is one of the reports that I was talking about. I was going to go to the schools in the ghetto, but I came across this too. Look at this.
And I pray that you and I will listen here.
Of the Southern Civil Rights Movement has had growing nationwide sympathy. The justice of the cause was clear because Southern Negroes fought an open and arrogant enemy. The Northern Negro radical is more difficult to understand. His people are poor. They are second-class citizens. The harsh realities of the slum and racial exclusion make a mockery of equal.
And you know, there's something that you could see, hear a news anchor on a national channel called the Negro back then a second-class citizen.
Right.
As they referred to Black people as Negroes then. I think the name has changed so many times, but stayed the same. Because it went from colored, I do believe, to Negro. Or did it go from Negro to colored?
No, it went from colored to Negro, from Negro to Afro-American, from Afro-American to black.
You know, I did an interview. I have students to. I used to have students to come and intern with me in the summertime, and I had a young man. He was an Indian. He told me what country he was from. India, somewhere in India. And as he was talking to me, he had an accent, and I was interviewing, and he was like, "This something about I have worked with colored women before." I said, well, number one, I know you're from another country, but we don't use the word colored anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't get mad at him. He said colored.
Yeah, it's for real. You can't really, you really can't get mad because that's what he know, you know.
That's all he know.
Yeah. Man.
Opportunity. But the Northern Negro has no clear enemy, no white citizens council, no Sheriff Clark. There is no line which once crossed brings the promise of victory and a better life. Not knowing what he must fight, the urban Negro loses hope in the fight itself. The black radical returns hope to his people. He substitutes for a clear enemy, a proud cause. He has contempt for white America. He says that the Negro must fight the whole system. He emphasizes pride in being black, independent black political action. Some black radicals say that what the white man won't give, the Negro must take, if necessary by violence. Black radicalism has led to a debate within the Negro community. The issues are black nationalism, third-party political activity, and violence. The participants in this debate speak for themselves. Black Muslim leader, black supremacist, and Malcolm's first mentor, Elijah Muhammad.
God didn't make the white man that made us. The white man made just 6,000 years ago, and we was made unlimited. We don't know nothing about any birth record for us. And you can't find no history that will give you the birth of the black man. He has always been.
Daniel Watts edits the radical black magazine Liberator in New York, the newest voice of the young black intellectual, a circulation of 15,000, a tough, aggressive voice of pride.
Let me put it to you this way. We are proud of being black and of our black heritage, but white America does not accept the concept that this is a multiracial society. It has never accepted the fact that there are black people, brown people, yellow people here alongside them. They've always looked upon America as being white. And hence, all of its propaganda is directed at us to convince us that somehow or the other we must become white before they will accept us.
Do you think it's still that way today, Hilda? Has anything changed?
That last line he said was crazy. We must become white before they accept us. Some things have changed. A lot of things have not changed. I feel like that people have made it up in their mind that, hey, man, this is my side of the fence and I'm going to stay on it. And the regime that's running the country right now has made people comfortable in that narrative. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, this is the not much has changed at all. And I would say one thing. You listen to the narrator. This is the system that has destroyed us for eons. How can a man that is not of African descent or Indian descent tell you everything about yourself? He is telling you the way we think, the way we feel, the way we move. He can tell you our customs, our traditions. This is why we are at a permanent disadvantage because your enemy know more about you than you know about yourself. And we don't care to even look into how they live, how they feel, how they move, why they feel how they feel. No. At a certain juncture, we just cut it off. We cut it off at racism. These folks know why we feel like we feel about racism and why we feel how we feel about being black as a whole. They study us.
Mm-hmm.
They study us.
I agree. That's why I love going back and looking at stuff like this from like 1966 and 1970s and 1950s. Because I'm able to compare like what is our cry, what was the cry then and what is the cry now? Ain't a damn thing changed.
And if you listen to the narrator, and I hate to keep harping on this narrator, we are watching this, but this ain't for us.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This is basically literature. This is video literature for white people to help them be to be up on their game, just in case they can't encounter one of these people. That's all. This narrator is not talking to us. Period.
Johnny's Forever. Do you have a new page? Do you have a new account? Or is that JR? Is that JR your account?
ZK.
Yeah, ZK.
What's up, ZK?
I wanted to see if she had got a new account, if she fixed her account so I can make her a moderator again.
Yeah, it was just a picture.
It was just a picture?
Yeah, it was the picture and the name.
Okay, so which one is your main account? So that I know which one to make a moderator. Which one is it here? The JR? What you say? I'm Jair and Janice.
On two different phones. Which one need the mod stick?
Janice Forever. Okay. Yeah, make sure y'all hit the like button for me. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're getting some history tonight. And you know, it saddens me, even when I keep making a reference back to like Young Dolph, like because it's just unbelievable with the way that was a constant pattern. Black Youngster is in his early 30s, okay, but Yo Gotti is our age. He's closer to our age. He came from a totally different era. So I mean, I said that to say this: he knew better.
No, I agree.
Hold on one second.
Even a publication like Ebony with a subscription of something like 800,000 Negro subscribers is written for what we call the low visibility Negro. You know, the light-skinned Negro. With a rare exception, Ebony never features the activities of the black man in this country. It's always that low visibility, you know, the almost white Negro. And how you too can be this way one day if you use some of the skin lighteners that they run in their advertisement. I mean, when it runs ads like Dr. Fred Palmer's skin whiteners.
Damn.
It is denial of the fact that black people exist. That somehow or the other, in order for us to exist, we must resort to using hair straighteners so our hair won't be kinky. That somehow if we could only hide our blackness, we can then become part of this thing called the American melting pot or the American scene. This is the primary role that ebony and such publications serve.
This young man worked for CORE, worked for SNCC, lives in Watts, Los Angeles, is typical of the young intellectual Negro. Jimmy Garrett speaks of pride.
I don't think, I think the problem is the standard for discussion is set by the whites, and a lot of Negroes now don't want to accept that standard anymore. They say, we're going to have our own standard. I think that the hookup comes if you can develop a whole new standard where whites and Negroes can have a dialogue. Not either one of those are acceptable anymore. I mean, whites aren't going to accept Negro standards, and Negroes no longer want to be white. So that the clear thing is to develop a whole new standard, and then everybody move toward that. So that
that's an intelligent brother, ain't it?
I swear, I love. Now, their movement was called SNCC. That was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, led by Stokely Carmichael, which was later changed his name to Kwame Ture. If y'all Google Stokely Carmichael, he looked like a carbon copy of Young Dolph. Yeah, I love them dudes right there, man. Very intelligent young man.
so there can be some kind of dialogue.
Julian Bond of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He speaks of pride.
Well, a great many people in SNCC and a great many people in the Negro community in general have feelings of nationalism, of black nationalism. And the disturbing thing to me is a great many Americans, white Americans, seem to equate this with the same sort of white supremacy that flows from the Ku Klux Klan and the Citizens Council and so on. I don't think it's quite the same thing. I think what black nationalists are saying is that Negro Americans have their own history and their own heritage to be proud of. And it's a heritage and a history that the rest of the country must recognize. I don't think it's any more than that. And I think it's something that Negroes have to be made more aware of, is their history of participation as American citizens and as against the form of American life that has oppressed them. And I think it's a beneficial thing rather than a detrimental thing.
Fannie Lou Hamer, a founder of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party.
You know what? I was looking at a documentary on this young lady the other day. I don't think they give this woman enough credit.
No, they don't.
What she did in the South, they don't. They got to give her flowers.
Her and Julian Bond. Julian Bond was a heavy hitter, man. But yeah, Fannie Lou Hamer was one of them ones. I agree.
She was strong, she was bold, and she fought hard. She was unapologetic.
Mm-hmm. She speaks of pride.
You know, from a child up, I always, at first, I wanted to be white, you know, because my family was 20 of us, 6 girls and 14 boys. We would make 50 and 60 bales of cotton, gather all that cotton, and we wouldn't have food in the wintertime. So I figured then the white people must be right. But as I got older, I said, no, it's something wrong. And if I ever get a chance, I'm going to do something about it. But year after year, things look like got worse and worse. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee helped to build confidence in people that they was just about to lose all hopes. And that's the truth.
Where you at, Miss T?
Radicals seek equality.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Say they bailed all that cotton, and you know that cotton was at a premium price, and them folk ain't even had no food in the house in the wintertime. That's crazy, fam.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, they Fannie Lou Hamer said as a child, a white guy came to get her and told her if she would pick cotton for him, he would take her to the store and buy her some candy. She said the candy was, she said she was so happy. She said, and he told her, each and every time you pick cotton for me, I'll take you to the store. She said, and he would get her candy that cost about a nickel. And she says that it got to a point She said she was picking, I believe she says about, I don't know, 200 or 300 pounds of cotton a day for a nickel candy, and she was excited for that,
Yeah.
being taken advantage of.
Damn shame, man.
Register to vote. But even more basic than that, we try to organize people in the rural parts of the Deep South into groups that can make use of those votes as Negroes gradually achieve the right to vote.
But we go in and live with people, live in their homes, work with the people, trying to get them aroused to the point where they lose some of their fears. We have to cut across generational fear.
And we hope someday that we will have developed across the South several what we call pockets of power that Negroes can use to gain a measure of independence and can use to force some changes in the American system to make their lives a little better.
It was only SNCC. SNCC and CORE worked with us day and night. You would be surprised when SNCC came into Mississippi the 14th of August of 1962. The first conference, I went to a SNCC conference in Nashville, Tennessee in November 1962. And the first time I had a chance to just sit next to a white person, I've never been that nervous in my life. And they told us, they didn't tell us what to say. Say, you know how you've been getting along in Mississippi. We don't have to tell you. Say what you feel.
The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, one of the established civil rights organizations, made its reputation in the South. The Reverend Andrew Young of SCLC.
Man, listen. Andy Young, John Lewis, Julian Bond, Fannie Lou Hamer, these are heavy hitters, and it just shows what we can be.
Presently, we're engaged in two major
when we on one accord.
Programs. One is a voter registration program in the state of.
You look at these folks, and these folks is in their early 20s. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Andy Young went on to be the mayor of Atlanta. He was also on that balcony with Dr. King on April 4th. He was on the right side. Andrew Young.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He was on the right side of history. There was another young man, if y'all remember the freeze frame photo of Dr. King laying on that balcony, and there's a young man draped over the top of him. That young man was FBI informant. He was actually COINTEL for a local gang in the city of Memphis, and they put him on Dr. King. He was absolutely an informant. I forget his name, but his daughter speaks about him in Shame. Yeah. Yeah. The young man that was draped over Dr. King. Next time y'all see that picture, he was absolutely FBI informant. Because not only were they after Dr. King, the street gangs in the city, they would put informants in those sectors as well to see what's going on locally, so they can get the drop on everything that gangsters had going on. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, y'all. It's so much history that I'm so glad that this particular channel is starting to upload or order these archives from somewhere and upload them. I think that it is imperative that we go back and look at the way things used to be and then compare it to the way things are now. Has anything changed? And in a lot of aspects, a lot of areas, have things gotten worse? You know, at least we saw a lot of, you know, unity back then. I don't know. I don't think we have any unity now.
Nah, everybody's segmented.
I wanted to show this before I got off because this is what I was looking at a little earlier too.
September, and the
Special
kids
on
are off
ghetto
to school.
schools.
Most of them off to their neighborhood public school. But the neighborhoods have changed. Where once the public schools truly represented a cross-section of children of varied incomes and backgrounds, today unwillingly.
Now you see how kids back then was hopping to school, they was skipping to school, all the energy they had, and there's something going on now where kids don't even have the energy to walk, let alone skip.
Absolutely.
But inevitably, many city schools have become ghetto schools, a concentration of race, poverty, and defeat.
You put a school down in the middle of a ghetto, and you're there. Goodbye. And then the principal and his staff and the secretaries, they are down in there, and they must then continue what is known as the educational process.
The teachers are turned off, somewhat the administrators are turned off, somewhat I'm turned off. What I'm trying to say really, the total picture here, is that nobody can function well and effectively in the ghetto. That everybody in it is overwhelmed by the circumstance and by everybody else in it. And it's a total condition which is pressing in upon us.
We've lost them already. These kids are now 14, 15, 16 years old. What we can do with them is nothing more than a holding action.
And just to get the rest.
It's so sad because it seems like that you're talking about the conditions of the ghetto. They were just writing kids off in the ghetto, basically saying they couldn't do anything with them. They were unteachable because they was living in the projects.
Right. You know, and in all honesty, these kids was better off than some of the kids we got now. And let me explain. A lot of these kids came from 2-parent homes. A lot of these kids' parents wasn't on a bunch of synthetic drugs when they made them. Their problem was poverty. They didn't have an attention deficit disorder, you know, like most of these kids do now. You know, most of these kids, a lot of these kids have taken to smoking and drinking at a young age. These kids' only problem was they were brought up in adverse circumstances. They should have never been wrote off because they were from the ghetto. But that's what happened. And that's where the lack of hope comes from.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it was a programming, you know, because once you tell kids, you know, basically because of your conditions, you're not teachable. You're subject to you're gonna fail because they start to believe that.
Right.
Rest of the record straight, teacher training hasn't been making it either. I've trained hundreds, literally thousands, and you know, some of the ones that have really literally broken my heart have been some of my best students who would leave that nice classroom and come out to work in your school or a school like it and quit psychologically within one day. Some of them quit the first day they come on a job, and others quit 1 week later, and some of them run to the suburb. But it is a debacle in terms of what happens to young people who get slaughtered when they come into reality.
NET Journal presents The Way It Is.
Hey, look, they was in the projects, but it was still family orientated. Look how they nose is looking out the window and stuff.
Yeah, it was a sense of pride. Hey, look at this. Look at this comment. At one point, there was a conscious hip hop movement in the 80s, as well as Fannie Lou Hamer was violently beaten in jail in 1963 in my hometown of Winona, Mississippi, which they have a marker placed. Man.
Yes, she was. She said that because she was getting people registered to vote, they put her in jail and they made a black man, they beat her over the head with a jack. And the white sheriff, I believe, the white guys she said all she remembers is the black guy saying, sir, you want me to beat her over the head? They made a black guy beat her real bad with a jack. And she said it hurt so bad she started kicking, and they took handcuffs and put it on her legs so she couldn't move.
Man, I tell you.
Because she was getting people organized and getting them registered and stuff. She was really serious about that movement of voting.
Right. And so the next time you hear somebody in 2026 saying that voting ain't this and voting ain't that, if voting was not a real thing, they would not have put these people through obscure circumstances and horrific beatings. And, you know, they used to make these folks take tests just to be eligible to vote. You know, they said one of the questions on the test is how many bubbles is it in a bar of soap? Just crazy questions that you had to answer correctly to be eligible to vote. And of course, nobody passed those tests.
That's something.
Percent of the school, which just is not moving ahead. These kids, if we were to meet them anywhere, this 90%, meet them around school, in school, outside of school, they respond and respond well. The question is, something happens to them in the classroom situation, in the school situation, which keeps them from learning.
These harsh facts have rocked the educational community. Across the country, university educators are coming down from their ivory towers to find out what has gone wrong. In a unique experiment, Jack Robertson, professor of education at New York University, and his NYU specialists are joining forces with Principal Lou Schwartz and his staff to see if together they can help salvage this particular 7th grade. For we are at war, and at stake are America's ghetto kids. But we fight with weapons that are from a different age, and we must find new ones when this is the battlefield.
You see a bunch of kids put together very well, seem to be enjoying talking to each other. And they got people coming in from New York to try to put something together because they're saying that these kids are just not doing well.
Right. How about putting groceries in the house so they can eat before they go there?
Absolutely. So they can have a hot breakfast.
Exactly. You're not gonna wake a kid up and rush them off to school and they had nothing to eat, and you're gonna set them there for 5 hours straight listening to a bunch of rubbish, you know, before they can even go to lunch. You know, it's just oh boy. It's so out of touch. It's so out of touch. We don't have as many of us going into education. We need black men in classrooms providing structure and discipline. You know, we just covered a story earlier today on the channel about the teacher in Baton Rouge that ended up unalive for messing with one of our young black sisters. Yep.
Wow. She was 8 years old, right?
14.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And how old was he?
Probably mid-40s.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down. Sit down, Stephen.
Gabe McGuire, 23 years old, is the school's math teacher in the same cluster and is the official teacher for class 714 as well.
7 miles on the old highway until he gets to the city. Willie, wait just a second. You keep saying.
And look, they're trying to say something is wrong with them. We all used to do that. Kids have to be disciplined.
Right. Right. Kids get around other kids, and guess what? They want to socialize.
Unless there is something firm.
Right.
When you get the wrong answer, how do you know it's the wrong answer? How do you know? Because you won't get 110.
I think one thing that I have common with these kids is the fact that I was from a large family of 8 children. My father was a steel worker, and I'm from a broken home. It was just mental turmoil there for a long period of time. And I sense the confusion that many of these kids exist under now. I can sense it now because I've lived under the same kind of thing. The school became a place, I guess when I could really call it a home. It really became a home through the efforts of individual teachers. And I think that's one reason why I really wanted to become a teacher, because in a sense I wanted to repay those teachers who were somewhat devoted and dedicated to straightening out my life to a certain extent. But for many of these students in this area, I don't think that school has become a home, because I think there's a lack of
Yeah, that's a good documentary. But before I get off, because I got a assignment to turn in, I just want to play a little bit of this right here. I love looking at these documentaries. This was 1967.
Get away from here.
It was the welfare revolt. They said welfare over fathers.
Welfare mothers, and the children too, feel that they are on a dead-end street. That the way things are, there's not enough money and no way to hold up your head.
And you see how they started to put us in these conditions and then documented it?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Same
they've
thing
begun
that
what amounts
they do to the
a
mouth.
welfare revolt.
They're doing experiments.
You look on TV and you see that poor little kid from another nation. Oh, he looks so pitiful. I feel so sorry for him. But I can't overlook the fact that we have poor little kids in this nation.
Mrs. Etta Horn is a leader of the welfare rights movement. Their principle and their overwhelming complaint is that there simply is not enough money to raise a family, and then that it's given in a self-defeating and self-perpetuating way, that it degrades the people who receive it.
I have children. I look at my kids as family. And I think
Mr. King believes that welfare is part of that system, damaging to black and white alike.
Will not get right until this evil system is removed, because as I have listened and as I've looked and as I've lived in the ghetto, I've seen what this evil system has done to my brothers and my sisters. I've seen how it has left little children with clouds of inferiority formed in their little mental sky. I've seen how this evil system has transformed nice, decent young women into prostitutes. I've seen how this system has transformed nice, decent young men into dope addicts trying to escape the ugliness of their daily lives.
Everything else in Mrs. Ortiz's life is money, or the lack of it. Her inability to give her children the things they need. Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, Detroit.
I have never received my check on time. Now, they say they put them out, but now, like yesterday, you're supposed to have been here yesterday.
Now you can't get no media to show anybody else than people of color being on welfare. You see, back then they were showing other families, other communities. You can't get them to do that now. They made black people the face of welfare.
Absolutely. And these folks, they get they get more food stamps than any of y'all have never seen.
Mm-hmm.
I say y'all because, you know, a black man that need help, that it don't exist.
I tell you.
That's real.
Well, that's true, and there are a lot of black men that need help because
Mhm.
they're raising. There are more black men now than ever that are single fathers that are raising. They have sole custody of their children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, it just is what it is. You know, and for the main reason why these women are sitting on here fussing about the system, that's the fuel and the battery in my back to hopefully never ever have to depend on the system, because they just give you what they want to give you when they want to give it to you. You know, I remember a while back, I'm talking about this was when my boy was a baby. I was getting unemployment for probably about almost close to 6 months. I'm riding around looking for work. Man, stop at the gas station, and the unemployment card wasn't even working. You had to sit and call them folks and, hey, what's going on? The system's down right now. Hell, I had to sit at the gas station till the car started working again. I said, never again. I do something wrong before I sit up here and wait on the government. Hell no. That's facts. That's
John
facts.
Jeffrey said they told him he could never apply for food stamps.
Again, what happened, John? What did you do? Don't bring your ass in here no more.
Oh no! Why they wouldn't give you no more?
Wow. Salute, Neo. Hey man, I'm a single father myself. Hey boy, it's a full-time job. I ain't got number one, but hey, Ray, I tell you, it's a full-time job.
It says HBCUs are very important in the black communities, as well as learn why they exist. Proud HBCU graduate. Shout out to you.
For sure. Yeah, man. I love HBCUs. You know, and I'm gonna tell you. Oh, okay, I got you.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Also, they don't let you get food stamps if you've gone to jail for drugs.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
So if you have children, what do? They still just don't give them to you.
It's not.
Wow.
Yeah, shout out to all the HBCUs, like Lane College and Tennessee State and Miles College, the small ones, Tuskegee. Yeah.
Tuskegee down there in Alabama, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they did that gave all those black men syphilis?
Right.
Did they die? They died, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, my youngest nephew is at Tuskegee right now playing ball. Play
Is that
football.
the name of the city, Tuskegee?
A little bit. It's on the outskirts of Auburn, Alabama.
Close to what main city?
Hmm.
Which main city is it close to?
Auburn.
Okay, I never heard of Auburn. Like, how far is it from Birmingham?
Ooh. About 4 hours. It's down in the middle of nowhere, Jack. Mhm. It's closer to Montgomery than it is to Auburn. Yeah. I want to say 4 hours, maybe 3.
You got to work in the morning?
I do.
I'm gonna get off here too. I got a test I got to take in my one of my classes before 11:59. So, hey, I enjoyed y'all tonight. I feel like it was rushed. I guess we have to do history classes on Saturday, on Saturdays or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the daytime, like on a Saturday afternoon, like early, like at 3:00.
Yeah, I mean,
we do history classes.
Mm-hmm.
Because stuff like this is right down my alley. I love it.
The Lane College alumni over here. Salute to you. Hey. Yeah, man. I hope y'all like this type of content. Ms. T has been going back and forth on presenting this type of content. She didn't really know whether y'all would be a fan of it. But if you don't know where you came from, you're doomed to go right back into that spot. And there's a lot of people in power that's willing to send us right back into that spot.
That's so true. I wanted to. I didn't get a chance to show it, but I wanted to because they started interviewing the students. And even though they was living in the ghetto, the dictation of how they pronounced their words, like they weren't proper, but they spoke with pride. It was not in its slang or lazy tongue. They pronounced their words perfectly.
Absolutely. Because there's a sense of pride that where people, whether they were on camera or not, they knew they had to present themselves in a certain way. We were buttoned up pretty good back then. Everybody, chin up, chest out. If you ain't have number one pair of slacks and a white shirt, and that's what you was gonna wear, but it was gonna be clean. It was gonna be, ironed out, and it's gonna be presentable. We just don't have that, and we don't have that anymore. Yeah, we don't have that anymore, and it's sad, but it's the truth. It's the self-respect factor, But yeah, they were very well spoken.
Yes, they were.
Mm-hmm.
They started that Ebonics stuff, in the 90s?
Yeah.
And they almost wanted to make it like they wanted to teach. They really wanted to dumb us down.
Right.
And did. Because that was a big thing of wanting to incorporate Ebonics, which was slang, into the schools.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
How are you going to be able to get a corporate job speaking Ebonics?
You're not. So get comfortable with it. Because when you finally wake up from the slumber that they got you in and you want to get into some of them rooms, you will not be allowed access. When you want to speak correctly, you won't be able to because this has been indoctrinated into you. And that's just it's programming. It's programming.
It's definitely a programming. Almost similar to what they did to the kids that was in the MK Ultra. I mean, it was just a really big project on African Americans, and it was still a programming.
I mean, most of the 1900s was nothing but experiments on Black folks. People talk about the Tuskegee experiments, but nobody really talk about the housing project experiment. That was an experiment. You know, whether you talking about you come from Clementine or you come from Claiborne Homes, you know what I'm saying? These were experiments conducted all over the country, from Techwood Homes in Atlanta to Illerton Village in Birmingham. You know, these were Cabrini Green in Chicago. How would they react if we gave them housing, but we packed them up so close knit in the housing, and you know, with the bare necessities to function? Would they turn on each other? You know, will they? You know, that's why they call it a project. You know. And when they got the results of the projects, what did they do? They demolished the projects. No more Clementine. No more Techwood Homes. No more Bowen Homes.
And people were misplaced.
And they made one of the worst mistakes ever. They gave them vouchers. And so out in East Memphis, where y'all said was just you had to have a little something to be. Now folks got vouchers and they out in East Memphis kicking up dust. They all out of Norcross and outside Atlanta kicking up dust. They in Hoover kicking up dust, you know? So
is Hoover like a suburb in Birmingham or something?
It is.
I tell people all the time, like, y'all, it's so much rich history down in Alabama. Like, I don't like maybe a year or so ago when I was looking at the real estate, I was like, dog, like this is like the best kept secret. A lot of reasonable real estate and stuff I started to see around Montgomery, where like the outskirts of Montgomery, it started to slowly go up and up and up, because maybe people had started to learn about it. I started seeing it going up and up and up. And but there's a lot of rich history, like down in Alabama, like what was the name of the bridge?
Edmund Pettus
Bridge. Yeah, that's very historical. I do believe that Dr. King moved to Montgomery for a little while, didn't it? Because wasn't it in Montgomery where they boycotted the buses? Yeah,
that was in 1955 when they boycotted the buses. He was the pastor of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery. And so he automatically became the spokesman for that. And yeah, that was the birthplace of the civil rights movement.
Wow. So when he was he still living in Montgomery when he was killed?
Oh, they moved around quite a bit. I think he was in Montgomery. I think he did live in Montgomery, but he would be in Birmingham quite a bit. Dr. King didn't really. I challenge y'all to look and see Dr. King in Mississippi. That was something that I was really looking at. Now he did protest in Mississippi, but it was very rare. Very rare. There's a video of Dr. King on an airplane, basically speaking on the most dangerous places that he'd ever went. I think he said that Cicero, Illinois was one of them. I think a town in Mississippi was one as well. If he could live to tell it, I really think that he would have said Memphis was pretty bad too, because if y'all remember, the first time Dr. King came to Memphis for the sanitation worker strike, a whole riot broke out downtown. And the riot came from law enforcement hiring, young blacks to cause a disturbance. to basically show that, yeah, this ain't all nonviolent like they say it is. Yeah. It was a lot of underhanded, backhanded, snakish stuff that went on in Memphis that led up to Dr. King being assassinated, including the young guy by the name of, what was his name? Morrell McCullough. They called him Mac McCullough. But he was the informant on the balcony with Dr. King. Yeah. Billy Cowles. The people that were paid off in the march when he first came down here. You know, yeah. A lot of underhanded stuff that went on at the end of March, the beginning of April in 1968 in Memphis. Yep. Dr. King ran with my homeboy grandfather, Measy Moore, down in Mississippi. J. Rail, salute, home.
Hey, J. Rail.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just crazy some of the stuff that transpired when he was, you know, during his last days amongst the living, you know. The police officer that was at the fire station providing watch for Dr. King, and they basically told him to go home because there had been a threat against his life, and he said he didn't want to leave Dr. King, and they told him it was an order that he leave. Basically told him it was an order. He got home, and they asked him to wait on the phone call to see what was going on with the threat on his life. And they told him, yeah, it was false alarm. False alarm. We made a mistake. By that time, Dr. King had already been assassinated. But they sent him away just to get that pair of eyes off of Dr. King. You know? Yeah, man.
Chocolate said Cal was her old pastor, and he was in on his demise. I think Cal was caught up in, he had gotten in some trouble and was doing some work for the FBI or something. He in order to get out of the trouble. It's funny because Thaddeus Matthews had the paperwork and kind of talked about that situation with Billy Cow.
I did not know that. Yeah. A lot of people could be bought.
Mm-hmm. Especially if they got in trouble and they got caught up with, you know, had a church and was looking at doing time or didn't want their reputation ruined. I don't know if it was an underage girl or something that was involved, but she said, yeah, that's true. Yeah. He was in some trouble, and he was the government. He worked with the government as a spy, and really helped to set Dr. King up.
Right.
And to get out of trouble. That's sad. And if you notice, a lot of the men that sold out, that helped to set up, Black men that helped to set up a lot of these leaders that they wanted dead back then, they had been in and out of trouble.
Right. Yeah, that was the way of putting their back against the wall, because they knew any other way they wouldn't have been able to do it. The guy that set up the chairman, Fred Hampton, in Chicago, he was a car thief. Some simple as stealing cars, and they basically, put his back against the wall. And instead of doing that time, he decided to backdoor Fred Hampton.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. You need to look into Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was quite an impressive individual. Fred Hampton was 21 years old when he was ambushed and killed in Chicago. Think about these ages now. You got to think about these ages, because it's wild to think that you had people this young. Even Dr. King was 39 when he was unalive. Fred Hampton was 21. You put that in the proper context. Straight Drop was 23, 24 years old when he did end off. And if you know anything about Fred Hampton, the way they did him was just unlawful. They came to his house at night while they were sleeping. And Fred Hampton just draped himself over his pregnant wife and let them do him in to protect her. They had no remorse. They was coming for everybody. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Crazy business.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. So, but all right, Miss T.
All right, I'm getting ready to get off of here and finish my work. I enjoyed you all. I appreciate everybody that tuned in, that enjoyed talking about stuff like this. You know, I enjoy it. I'm happy to know that others enjoy it too. You know, I appreciate you coming up here with me, Hilda, as always.
You know what it is.
Make sure, hey, look, make sure you all tune in to the Alabama Hitter. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, he's on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and we want to make sure that he gets that. And then after he gets 10, we need him to go past 10. You know, this is all about building. It is all about building.
Absolutely.
Listen, you guys, I was just looking at, I was like, dog, I got 2 assignments instead of 1. That's what I was just looking at. So listen, I'm gonna get off of here so I can do my quiz, and then I can do my other little assignment, and I should be finished, I guess, within, let's see, I guess I got an hour and some change to do it. So I love you all. Make sure you all please like, share, and subscribe, and tune in to my prayer. I do 15 minutes of prayer every day. Okay, 7 o'clock in the morning. Go on to my Real Talk with Tamara like page on Facebook to get the number to the call-in praying line. And the name of the praying line is Strength for Today. Okay, so make sure you all go on there. Remember to tune in at 7 a.m. in the morning. And if you have anything that you would like us to agree and pray about, you all had an opportunity, or just call in and we'll do 15 minutes. It kind of helps us all to get our day started. Okay. And to, you know, but anyways, you guys, I love you all. Make sure you all please like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk with you later.